Pecha Kucha 116, The Nobody and Judge Dredd, Complete Case Files number 4. So, I read a lot of comics this week. It's debatable whether that's work or time wasting. It's certainly valuable, I think. I don't regret it, and I would probably do it again next week. In fact, I will, because I've got two classy looking comics I can't wait to get into. I've talked about Old Man Logan before because I read the PDFs online, but this is my copy of a trade paperback. I bought this thing, it's so good, I decided to use real Earth money and buy my own. And I'm going to talk about it again, it's that good. Right, so it's set in a dystopian future 50 years after the whatever the modern continuity is of the Marvel Universe. Wolverine's the last hero. It's like Mad Max. He lives in the future that's just like he just lives in like California and it's like a farm. It's very dark. The artwork does an excellent job of bringing this dystopian future to life. I just picked a random page. It just happened to be the one where the Red Skull is lording it up over Captain America. Hold on. Yeah, Mark Millar's take on the future is very, very dark. He's known for that. And I've probably spoken about this before as well. Like, Doctor Doom is in the story, but he's not. This is the entirety of his involvement. He stands on the roof and doesn't say anything. And how are you going to read the expression of a man wearing an iron mask, right? I can't recommend this enough. I'm not saying you throw down your money, but I'm happy I threw down mine. So, Fist of the North Star, my favourite anime. I was rewatching the anime after playing the Yakuza game, where the plot, they just made it up. But it really is the best Fist of the North Star game ever made, even though it's only half a game. And that made me then decide I want to play as someone who isn't Kenshiro, so I went and got an old copy of an old game. So I could play predominantly as Shin, but I can play as so many people in this game. Ray's pretty fun. I just unlocked Salza. So, the game is very accurate to the manga, which I also read in its entirety this week. So I've, in the last month, consumed the Fist of the North Star narrative 3 separate times. And it's basically the same story. It's really disturbing how there are so few differences between both the game, the manga, and the anime. And the only real difference is the character of Shin. In the manga, he just dies faster. In the anime, they try to make him up to be more of a big bad guy. He's very important in terms of Kenshiro's psychology, but he's dead so fast. And that's the end of that. He's one of my favorite characters. He's not there for long, but his impact is big. The Nobody is a graphic novel I read that's independent. I don't read a lot of those, so yeah, because even if you read a bad Iron Man, you know where you stand. But this was good. A very kind of simple and direct art style. It's just like a one-color wash with this blue. Which is ironic because isn't this the kind of blue that doesn't print when you do your pencils in this color? But a drifter wrapped in bandages goes to some little town in America, and all the locals kind of scheme behind his back, and it turns into some nonsense that actually has nothing to do with him in the end. And he wears bandages and goggles because, surprise, he's the Invisible Man, and it's not a surprise because the book tells you on the back of the book. This is a modern adaptation of H.G. Wells' take on the Invisible Man. He might have invented the Invisible Man. So the guy comes off in this as pretty harmless until his backstory is revealed, where he might have gone a little bit crazy. At the same time, he went a little bit see-through. It's a pretty short book. Just enough stuff happens in it for it to be able to say that stuff happened, but it's good. I wouldn't pay money for it, but that's the beauty of going to the library for these things. And of course, you can get big old collections of Judge Dredd as well. You can't go wrong with Judge Dredd. It's British, it's satire, it's science fiction, it's comedy, it's action. I love this shit for so much. The quality of the art, it's black and white line work, right? So this massive book starts off with Judge Dredd looking for the Judge Child, who's supposed to prevent Mega City 1 from having some kind of apocalyptic disaster. But at the end of like several months, real time, Judge Dredd finds the child, decides he's evil, and leaves him on the other side of the universe. It's bizarre. But Judge Dredd's a man of principle, if nothing else. And one of his principles is he doesn't like other judges having moustaches. It's an ongoing running joke, except there's nothing funny about it. To the point where Judge Dredd might have got the guy with the moustache killed because, yeah, maybe that's how he rolls. One of the more satirical stories was about this ugly dude kind of selling ugliness to rich people in the way that cosmetic surgery is sold to them now. But instead of getting prettier, everybody's pretty now, so the way to stand out is to be ugly. It's on the nose, and we're going to end up in that kind of position anyway. Another one of the stories that's quite interesting, it's a standalone thing, is there's the kid who's like a graffiti artist, and he gets challenged by another graffiti artist. And in a world where unemployment is at like 90%, people really struggle to define themselves as individuals, and that's kind of what this is about. Of course, Judge Dredd shuts that shit down because that's what he does. It's against the law. The world of Judge Dredd in the future is discussed from time to time, and this one talks about dead bodies being recycled because the population is so high, they just need the resources to keep everybody going. It's an interesting world, and I wonder if the continuity is intact. Who knows? I mean, being written by British people, they might have kept a note of that stuff around the office just in case they didn't want people screwing it up. Right, no sad clown of the week. This week I saw an anime called Spriggan, just popped up in my YouTube suggestions. I watched it. It's pretty good. The animation was phenomenal, actually. It had biblical references. It was almost entirely built on a biblical premise. Basically, they find Noah's Ark. It's cliched in the right kind of ways while being non-conformist enough that I can pretend it's original, but of course it isn't. Character development, narrative pacing, the music. There's just nothing here for me to have a problem with. The plot's it falls apart at the end, but who cares? It's the end. Just like woot and get on with the rest of your days. Yeah. I highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it for free. I mean, I saw it literally on YouTube yesterday. Hour and a half for the animation alone. The chase scene at the start where he's like, yeah, I'm not even going to say anything. Spriggan, go watch it. Or not, I don't give a fuck. I've seen it. Right, so that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 116, and I'll see you next time.